Hi beautiful people, welcome back to my channel. My name is Fisayo. I'm an international student getting my MBA in the United States. If you're new here, hello and welcome. You should absolutely subscribe to my channel because why not? Anyways, today I want to share with you how I landed a summer internship, an MBA internship, all the way from Nigeria at Microsoft in the US. If this interests you, definitely keep watching. I'm sharing this information now because it was around this time in 2020 that I began to put in the work for my MBA internship applications. These tips could also be applicable for any type of big tech recruitment. So I intend to do a series with this video and I want to do a follow-up video to this after. So please watch this video with an open mind. If you spot anything that you want me to speak more on, kindly drop it in the comments as soon as you hear it or as soon as it comes to your mind. Drop the question in the comments. I'll be looking at it. I would answer it in another video. So please drop any comments or any questions that you have for me or any clarifications that you need me to make. Drop them in the comments as you watch. So let me just recap on the summer internship. So for the MBA program, you typically get to do an internship in the break between your first year and the second year, just like MSc programs or any other programs as well, where you can have a summer internship. You typically just have your internship in the summer. For me, my MBA program was supposed to start in August of 2020, and as at May, I already started speaking to people just to understand what I should be doing in terms of recruitment, and I engaged an educational consultant called Titan Arrow Consulting. I'll put a link to their page on the screen or in the description box. From them, I got to understand that I needed to be proactive as an international student. I didn't just need to relax and wait till resumption before I start recruiting, but I actually needed to start identifying the companies that I wanted to work with during my internship and actively checking their websites for when they open up the application slots, checking for people who are currently working in the roles that I want to work with, connecting with them on LinkedIn and having those informational conversations. So I began the good work in May of 2020, refining my resume. So what is called the CV in Nigeria, because I'm Nigerian. Your resume as an MBA or as a master's student, a graduate student, is typically supposed to be 1 page. So even if you've had 10 years of work experience, just somehow try to articulate what is most important and put it in 1 page, right? You absolutely just need a 1-page resume to apply for jobs. I'll be putting on the screen a copy of my resume just so that if you want to see something that's a template, you can use, of course, whilst covering some of the very important details, right? So people don't just copy things. I would also be putting a link in the description for you to access a free resume template, just in case you haven't put your resume in the MBA format, in the standardized format. I'll be putting that link in the description, so definitely check it out and begin to ramp up your resume. I didn't mention that there is an application called VMOOC that you could use, although if you do not have a student account yet, you probably just have only 3 trials with it, but that website helps you to revamp your resume and bring it up to par. On the resume, what I find is that when you are describing the work that you did, essentially you have to capture your results in metrics, in numbers. So you can say, you achieved 100% XYZ, or you were able to increase this by 3.5 million. Putting numbers quantify the results of your work, quantify the impact that you have done. Do not just put bland lines that are more verbose or that are more verbal than quantitative. Your resume should capture the transferable skills that you have garnered over the period of work that you had, regardless of the type of work that you have done in the past. Like I said earlier and in my previous videos, you do not have to be doing a business major or had a business background for you to get into an MBA program. Another thing that I did was to start attending pre-MBA networking events. I recall that in May of 2020, I attended the Poets and Cons Networking Festival. Luckily, they are open again this year and the application deadline is May 11th. I'll be putting a link in the description if you want to attend that event. It was good for me to network with other MBAs, prospective MBAs like myself who are going to be admitted into the class of 2022. And then it was also a good place to start having FaceTime with interviewers or recruiters from different companies that I admired. So definitely take advantage of this one, register and start to network with people. If you have gotten an offer into a business school and will be resuming in the fall of 2022, congratulations to you, massive congratulations to you. You have done so well, and this is just the beginning. But right now, I believe that you should be taking the time to reflect on what sectors, what industries you'd like to work in during your MBA, that's for your internship, and post MBA. Now, I reckon that many people, when they are writing their essays, they say they want to do a particular concentration, but it doesn't necessarily have to be that. I mean, you can change your mind depending on what you feel appeals to you at this point in time. But do that work of identifying the sectors. So if it is consulting or investment banking or healthcare or marketing or private equity or finance, right? If it's big tech, whatever it is, identify those industries. You can do a mix of 2 or 3 different industries depending on what your capabilities are and what you actually need. But I would not suggest that you recruit for investment banking and consulting and tech and all of them together. You're just going to be weighing down yourself a lot, because many of those industries require a lot of work in terms of preparation, except if you're going to be recruiting for them in different time frames and in different seasons. So it's always good for you to start early. Now, I would suggest that when you identify the sectors that you want to work in or the industries, you go out and list at least 10 companies in those sectors or doing those roles. Write them down. Go to each individual company's website. Look for when they open their application cycle for MBAs to put in the applications for internship. One of the things that I did was identifying technology as one of the sectors that I wanted to go into, and then I wrote down a couple of companies in the big tech sector. For Microsoft, I saw that they opened up their MBA recruitment in May, and that was when I applied using the resume that I had tailored to suit the role I was applying to. There was also the option to include a cover letter, even though it was not compulsory. But what I see about writing a cover letter is that it gives you an opportunity to shine. If you see an extra opportunity to shine, take it. Don't leave it on the table. It might be stressful, and you can always hack the system. You can have one template cover letter that you would consistently just revamp to apply to different roles. So my approach to writing a cover letter is, in the first paragraph, you express your interest in the particular role that they are recruiting for, and just give a little summary about the company and what they are known for. In the second paragraph, introduce yourself. That's when you talk about how you're a first year MBA at XYZ school, you have XYZ experience, you have done, so mention something specifically that you have done. So you can get that from your resume, but do not just lift words out of your resume. Go in depth into something that you have mentioned in your resume and explain it in a story format for that second paragraph. I typically use the third paragraph to also highlight another transferable skill that I have and describe how I've used it in the past. In the fourth paragraph, I close it off by saying I would appreciate an opportunity to be considered for this role, and then I'll drop my email address and phone number and say thank you. I've attached my resume along with this application. It is that simple. So literally, when you are applying for jobs, you really just have to put in work on the first paragraph. For other paragraphs, depending on the role, you already have your stories, you already have the description of the work that you have done. So you might just like be copying and pasting and editing to suit the roles that you're applying for. It is not difficult at all. Now, another thing that helped me whilst applying was to use LinkedIn. Like, literally, if you're in the job search market, LinkedIn should be your best friend. Absolutely. I used LinkedIn to connect with people who were working in the roles that I admired and sent them emails. So when you're connecting with somebody on LinkedIn, make sure you don't just click on connect. Make sure you add a note saying, hi XYZ, I would like to take some time to understand your role at XYZ company. Would you be willing to speak to me? I would also like to take the time to tell you about myself and express my interest in XYZ role. Please let me know when you'd be available to speak. Short messages like that are concise and they relay the message. Now, do not be angry if somebody just accepts your invite without responding to your message. Trust me, people are busy. But you would definitely find someone who would connect with you, who will speak to you. That's why you need to actually go out there and look for people. Like, start doing your research, start going on LinkedIn looking for people. How do you go on LinkedIn? Just go to LinkedIn, go to the company. So for instance, I type in Microsoft on the search tab, and then when I click on the company, I will click on people. So when I click on people, I can click on roles, right, and check. Maybe if I want to check for alums of my school, I'll type in the name of my school and use that as a filter, so I can see the people schooled at my school and are currently working in that organization. That's a good way to start, because many people just want to know that, oh, I went to ASU, oh, you graduated from WP Carey and you now work for Microsoft. Oh, great. That's a great conversation starting point. So those were the things that I leverage in speaking to people. Now, when you speak to people, you develop rapport with them, you get them to know you, and they may also go ahead to refer you or recommend you when you are submitting your application. So like I said, if somebody doesn't respond to you, don't be angry. People are busy, people have so much responsibilities, and if someone who does not know you from Adam agrees to spend 30 minutes of their time to speak to you about their role, definitely take it, be grateful for it, bring your best self, bring your questions, and make it a very interactive time. So I submitted my application in May, and in June they came back saying that they were inviting me for the first round interview. The first round interview was basically a Teams interview, a 45 minutes conversation with one person who worked at Microsoft. He basically, in fact, I had prepared so much on why Microsoft, why technology, why this, why that, and then my behavioral questions. But after asking me the tell me about yourself question, he just went straight into behavioral questions, like tell me about a time you led a team, tell me about a time you worked in a situation that was conflicting, tell me about a time you had an unexpected turn to a result and how you solved it. Behavioral questions like that. There were about 7 of them that were asked. Now, the trick to answering behavioral questions is to use the STAR format. I'm sure you should be familiar with situation, task, action, result. But for a company like Microsoft and for many other big tech firms, you do not want to stop at the result. You should also include your learning from the results. So after talking about the actions that you carried out and the result that you achieved, you should go ahead to state your learning from that entire process and how it has helped your decision making. So how you were able to translate what you learned from that experience into other things. It helps to show that you have a good mindset and that you want to scale in terms of your work. So don't forget situation, task, action, result, and your learning. I use that format to answer all of the behavioral questions that were asked. And after the interview, I think like 2 weeks after, they came back saying that I passed the first round interview and I was going to proceed to the final round interview. So for MBA internship, there are just 2 rounds. The first round, which is the 45 minutes conversation, and then the final round. The final round interview had 3 different interviewers with 45 minutes each for their interviews. It varies for some people. I found out that some people had 4, some people had 5, but I did have 3. Now, I did mention before, in preparing for my first round, I had several mock interviews with different people that I had connected with who were, staff of Microsoft, former interns, current interns, current staff, just people from different walks of life that I connected with. I was able to have mock interviews with them alongside the consultant that I engaged for my career development. So in preparing for my final round interview, I had at least 15 mock interviews. What this helped me to do was to properly articulate and be confident when saying my stories. I'd received tons of feedback from people who had heard me speak and who were kind enough to correct me and give me better ways of framing the work that I said I have done. One thing to note, absolutely you should. I'm always for writing your stories down. And how do you identify your stories? By going into your resume and picking each line item that you have written as a description for your role. Pick each one of them. Think back. What was the situation? What was the task? What were the actions you carried out? What was the result and the learning from it? Write those things down. Like actually create a Word document and write them down. From writing them, you can edit them or you can modify them to suit whatever question. So for instance, in one of the works that you have done, you'll be able to identify that, you worked in a team whilst doing that project. So you can use that as an answer to the question of why you worked in a team. In another story that you have written down, you might remember that you had a conflict with a colleague or things kind of went south in a particular way. You're able to also use that to answer the question of, tell me a time that you solved a difficult problem, or you had a conflict, or a time you innovated something. So just writing your stories down and continuously looking over them, repeating them to yourself, either in the mirror or to a mock interviewer if you have one, right, helps you to be more confident in saying your stories out. For the final round interview, I had 3 different interviews. Typically, this was during COVID, so my interviews were done over Teams. But when things are back, normally they would fly anyone who was made it to the final round to their office in Washington and have them do the on-site interview. It's always a great experience. They lodge you in a hotel and give you swag and make you feel very comfortable. You go around the campus and see how the office is like. It's always very good. But anyways, I didn't have the luxury of doing that. I met them over Teams and had my almost 3-hour interview all the way from Nigeria. This was in August of 2020, and 2 weeks after, they came back saying that I'd gotten the offer. Yay! The questions that were asked during the final round interview were questions like, why Microsoft? Why technology? Why this particular role, right? I didn't have any case questions, but from speaking to other interns, I found that some people were giving case-based questions. So case questions are, they will just give you like a prompt. A prompt has maybe like 2 or 3 different paragraphs, and then they can give you an exhibit from it and then ask you to make inferences from what they have read out to you, or make a recommendation from what you are seeing like written on paper. One tip for answering a question like why Microsoft is to add a personal touch to it. I had 4 different reasons why I wanted to work for the company, and out of those 4, I made sure that I had a personal reason. I made one of the reasons personable. What do I mean by that? You need to be able to tie it to something that's happened in your personal life, in your family, or something that personally affects you. So I was able to say that, oh, my mom is a teacher, and during the pandemic, they were able to use Microsoft Teams to engage their students. And then I went on to talk about like the partnership between the state government and Microsoft in my country at the time, and the impact that it had on students, things like that. At that point, the interviewer says that, okay, this person has done their background research. This person can tie their love and admiration for the company to something that affects them personally, and it's a very good signal of a great candidate. When I got the offer, I went ahead to let the career center at my school know. And I mean, this was just in our first month of beginning the program, and they were very excited. Like, they said I was the first person to get an internship, and I was shocked because I was even dealing with my own imposter syndrome from starting the program and being away in Nigeria, right? Participating remotely, 8 hours away. But it was kind of comforting to know that, okay, I was headed in the right direction and I was doing something right. I cannot explain how much of a relief it was for me to have an internship in my first semester of my program, and you would not know until you also get this right for yourself. So if you're an international student, if you're on this path, begin the process. You need to be proactive. You absolutely do need to be proactive. Do not wait until school starts for you to get your feet on this recruitment game. For consulting, I know that McKinsey already opened up their diversity pre-MBA program. So definitely, if you're looking towards consulting, you should definitely go after that. Microsoft is going to be opening soon. Many of these companies, you just need to Google the company name and write careers beside it, and you would find the company and then be able to apply for as many roles as possible. Please note that you should only apply to these opportunities after you have gotten your admission offer. Do not apply if you are still interviewing or if you're still speaking to adcoms. Only apply if you have gotten an admit decision or admission letter into any business school. And I would like to share more tips about nailing your internship, excelling during your internship. If this is what you want to see, definitely put it in the comment section. I know that for the class of 2023, they're about to start their internship. So definitely let me know in the comments if you're looking forward to seeing a video on nailing your internship. I hope you enjoyed watching this video and you learned from it. If you gained anything at all from this video, please drop a comment. Most importantly, please share this with your network. Please share this, let people know what is possible. Let people know how to go about getting jobs internationally. Thank you so much for watching my video this time. Please like the video as well and subscribe. See you in my next video. Bye.